Hello friends, James Stevenson back with another episode of James and Loki's Gems of the Week. Last week's episode was the longest in history. I'm pretty sure this week's won't be. Let me fix the Loki spot backdrop there so you can see Loki in good contrast there with his ears up. He's listening. He just ate. So let's share my desktop and jump right into the content. This is where we left off last week with Annie Salter Fine Jewelry. I'll click in here so you can see the whole thing. But this was shown last week. So there's Annie Salter's Model Y. That was the last tweet that I liked last week in that thread. If you want to go check that one out, it'll be at the end of last week's 1 hour 52-minute marathon, longest ever episode of James and Loki's Gems of the Week. Here's the first tweet that I liked since then from Farzad Mezbahi at Farziness on X. X has by far the most sane and rational political commentary on the internet, bar none. There are still plenty of facepalm moments, but the ratio of quality to garbage is the best on the web. Someone prove me wrong. Elon says yay as a reply, and I like that as well. So good stuff there. Here's a yup from Elon Musk to a tweet that I may not have liked from Chris Hadfield. Commander Hadfield. You can see him playing guitar and singing Space Odyssey from orbit, where he did a couple of missions, I think, in the International Space Station. High-speed Wi-Fi fits in a backpack, works anywhere you can see the sky. That's a big deal. Retweeting Oleg Kudkov, who said Starlink Mini with built-in Wi-Fi, 11.4 inches by 9.8 inches. That is pretty small. They did a good job sizing down the SpaceX Starlink receiver dish. So that's a good thing. Here's one from Tasha Keeney that I liked at Tasha Ark on X. Had a blast nerding out with Farziness and Hans C. Nelson. I haven't found time to watch this yet, but if you have, let me know in the comments below how you liked this Tasha Keeney interview. Elon told us to be on the lookout for their price target. I haven't had a chance to review that Monte Carlo analysis yet either, but I will get to those. Here's one from Farzad saying the same thing we just saw Tasha Keeney retweeting. And this time it's LR was the next tweet that I liked from James Douma. My wife says he looks like an elf from Lord of the Rings. I'm kind of inclined to agree. That was him replying to the $35,000 Model 3 is back. Guess who's back? Back again. Model 3 is back. Tell a friend. Retweeting Tesla North America here at Tesla_NA. New Model 3 LR now qualifies for the full $7,500 federal tax credit in the U.S. if eligible. So they must have figured out how to source enough of the battery pack from the US and not China to qualify. I'm sure Brian White could explain how they did that. Starts at $34,990 when also factoring in estimated 5-year gas savings. Yes, you will have to pay to put electrons in your Tesla electric vehicle, but it'll cost you less than it would have cost to put dino juice in your automobile. So that's how you do the math there. Some folks don't like the price, including estimated gas savings, but it's a real thing. Here's another reply from Gemma, which is his significant other's nickname for him, James Douma. I replied, I'm sure Tesla Q will find some way of claiming the extra range for the same price is just some evil scheme. Borrowing a lyric here from Nora Jones. To destroy the hardworking, well-intentioned, self-sacrificing people of Tesla Q. Aaron Greenspan's actual lawsuit against Tesla and Omar, thrown out by at least 3 judges, one of whom dismissed the case without hearing oral arguments, was how I replied. Yeah, just leave, Aaron Greenspan, is what it means when the judge dismisses your case before hearing oral arguments. Hey, Aaron Greenspan, before you open your mouth, I have read the brief. that you are objecting to in your appeal. And it has so little merit, I'm not even going to let you say anything. Just don't let the door hit you, Aaron Greenspan, is what that said. I don't talk much about him publicly on X because he's a bad guy. Like if 2 of the 10 richest people in the world, at least, will say they wish they had never met you, you're not a good person. Here's one from Sawyer Merritt. Breaking: electric vehicle startup Fisker has officially filed for bankruptcy. Yeah, that happened this week. Fisker filed for bankruptcy. Their stock had already priced that bankruptcy in pretty much. I say that. The stock got beat up. It went down a lot over the past couple of years from where it had been at the peak, like more than 99%. But on this news, they fell another 55% that day, I think. So, yeah, look out. If you're investing in a company that might go bankrupt, even if it has fallen by a lot, it can still fall by a lot more. I know a guy who invested in Nikola believing that EVs are just EV stocks, and he missed Tesla, so he figured, well, I'll invest in Nikola. They're an EV company. Maybe they haven't hit their upswing yet that Tesla got. I advised him not to invest in Nikola long, that was a bad decision, seeing as how they're a fraud and their products are frauds that don't actually work, with the exception of maybe one since they got Trevor Milton out of there. Yeah, I mean, good luck, Nikola. You're going to need it, I think, to make it. Here's one that I liked from Elon Docs at Elon_DOCS. This is one of those Elon alert accounts that posts videos of Elon taking feedback from Tesla customers in 2014 about vehicle preconditioning, a feature that was later implemented. If you don't know how this talk with JB Straubel went, this is a good video to watch. I will let this one play, and I will take a sip of my drink.
We don't actually we just get ideas, and then we're like, oh, okay.
Very simple question. At the moment, when I plug the cable in at night, it asks, what time would I like to start charging? And I'm not sure if that's the right question. It should be asking me what time I plan to leave. So that when I get in my car and say 7 o'clock in the morning, I plan to drive away, the battery's full at 6:45, the seats are warm, the air conditioning's on, and everything's defrosted, and the battery pack's hot.
I agree. I agree. Yep, you're right. See, this is why we come to these events. It's like, we don't actually we just get ideas, and then we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go. Great feedback from that Tesla owner on preconditioning the pack on a cold day to go ahead and get that car ready for you to take off while it's still plugged in. It's a great idea, and Tesla did it, and you can do that in your car today. If it's real cold outside, you can precondition that pack to be warm and ready to go, car defrosted and all. The idea for Cybertruck came from a question from Satoshi. You may know him on X as @SA_futurist. He asked Elon a question in a setting a lot like this one. I don't think it was this same event. But yeah, he was asking about, will Tesla make a pickup truck? And he got Elon's gears turning on what would later become Cybertruck after many iterations. Here's a tweet from the Short Shorts historian at Tesla Historian. I think I got that story right. If you know better, leave a comment below letting me know what I got wrong. It was such a safe bet at Brad Munken. Yeah, I think the safest bets are probably Lucid and Fisker, the company that just went bankrupt. Great work by the Short Shorts historian bringing this history from April 22nd, 2021 to light. I was able to find this because I saw the Short Shorts historian bring it up. So great work by him. making sure history is not forgotten about what Tesla Q was saying years ago. If you can think of a wrong thing to think or publicly say, Tesla Q has probably thought and said it at some point. Good work there. Here's another one from the Tesla historian who was doing great work last week and every week. I mean, Tesla historian almost always figures in these videos. Not the greatest comparison at S. Ballatin 5 years ago. I'm not sure if that's how that's pronounced, but who cares? Blue Collar Trade is how this account has been describing themselves for many years, saying on the 18th of June 2019, so 5 years ago exactly at the time this tweet was remembered by Tesla historian. This will be the greatest fraud story ever told. It's amazing to be living it as it unfolds. It's like watching the movie Titanic. We know how it ends, but not how it played out. This is not how S. Ballatin, Blue Collar Trade, thought the Tesla stock was going to play out. This person, probably a he if we're playing the odds here, let's be honest, thought that this little leg up here in the stock was right before the crash to zero was going to happen. This person thought Tesla was going to go bankrupt shortly and before ever posting an annual profit. And they were wrong. They're still around, I think, though. I think that account you can still find hating hard on Tesla today. Here's one from Michael Dell. At Michael Dell, yeah, that's the guy you're thinking of. The Dell Computer Company is this guy's company. I had a college professor who was like a roommate or a friend of Michael Dell when they were in college together. We're building a Dell AI factory with NVIDIA to power Grok for XAI. And then he tagged Elon Musk here on this photo. Check it out. It looks like a whole lot of work has been done on a big AI installation. If this one's for XAI, this location might be in, I think, North Dakota is where XAI decided to put their hardware. It's easier to cool in a place where it stays cool all the time. In Tesla's case, they decided to put theirs in the same factory in Austin where they make Cybertruck and Model Y, and probably the robotaxi vehicle. And who knows, maybe a compact vehicle as well, or some other future vehicle. There's a lot of space in that facility. It's one of the largest buildings ever constructed at Tesla's factory in Austin. And they have a lot of land also in that area, the Del Valley area of Austin, where, you know, very nearby the factory on both sides of the highway, they could build more factories if they needed the space. Here's one from Carsonite. Let me scroll up here and show you the context. Oh, I replied, yes. Self-proclaimed expert hedge fund manager of global auto stocks, quote-unquote Brad Munkin, fake name, also publicly questioned Fuzzy Panda Short's prescient decision to short Fisker in 2022. So if going long was the wrong move on Fisker, what was the right move? What was the move Fuzzy Panda Short announced that he was making at the time? This is one of those accounts that releases short reports on companies that they have already shorted to invite others to short the company along with them. They were shorting Fisker, which was a move Motorhead Brad Munkin questioned at the time. Fisker's website shows all the above is available on the Ocean One. What's your evidence that they don't have these software capabilities? Not doubting you, just asking for verification. Well, software was one of Marquez Brownlee's chief complaints with the Fisker he reviewed a couple of months ago, calling it the worst vehicle he's ever reviewed. But Henrik Fisker's car company isn't under the Justice Department investigation, was another tweet that Brad Munkin sent. Why is hashtag Tesla under Department of Justice investigation? Inflated cash flow much in 2018? That's what he thought was going on. He thought Elon Musk was going to go to jail. Retweeting Elon Musk from earlier that day, I suppose, saying how ironic That's what Henrik Fisker did to Tesla in 2007. Karma's a funny word. I don't know if that's what Elon said with the remainder of his tweet. But here's what Tesla did since then. Tesla did this. What did Fisker do? Fisker did this. So this was a good company to short at the time. Fuzzy Panda shorted it. This is what Brad Munkin was hoping his Tesla short would do, but it didn't. It did this instead. It grew to 10x the value it was when he shorted it. And he lost $1 million in 2019 shorting Tesla. He admitted publicly on X. I'm not doxing him. That's something he voluntarily shared. Yeah. And I said that here. He to this guy, HFT, he's going to get crushed when Tesla kicks in high gear. He already lost $1 million. Yeah, nobody should give Motorhead Brad Munkin money to invest on their behalf. His track record is abysmal. You can't find somebody who's much worse at investing than Brad Munkin demonstrably is. Here's a tweet from Ryan's Model Y that got a lot of attention from the algorithm. At Ryan J. Cowan asked people in Australia what was the best-selling car in 2023. He knew the answer. But nobody he talked to did until after he told them. And then some of them said, oh yeah, I was gonna guess that. But were ya? But were you really? So that's one of the tweets that I liked. Martin Vieca said, for what it's worth, personally, I've always been pro-advertising. 1% of revenue spent on ads, both digital and TV, would, I think, be margin accretive and mission accretive. I agree with this take from Martin Vieca, formerly the head of investor relations for Tesla, now retired, I suppose, unless somebody comes to him with an offer he likes so much he would take it. That was his second tweet in the thread retweeting this Ryan J. Cowan video. He led off saying, still today, even in the US, when I tell people Model Y is the best-selling car in the world, I get a, there's no way that can be true look every time. Yeah, it's the #1 selling vehicle in the world. People don't believe it, but it's true. A lot of vehicles sell poorly in some markets and well in others, right? So people would think, no, the F-150 is the #1 selling vehicle in the world. Well, it hardly sells outside of North America. Yeah, it's #1 in the US. But the #1 selling vehicle in China doesn't sell all that well outside of China, right? That might be the BYD Seagull or something. I couldn't even tell you which vehicle is the #1 seller in China. I don't think it's the Model Y, but the Model Y sells well enough there and in Europe and in the US that it was the #1 selling vehicle in 2023. And more people ought to know that, and I think Tesla should advertise more. And that's how people would come to know, hey, this must be an okay car if it's the #1 selling vehicle in the world. Here's one from Alex at Alex_A_Voigt comparing the pros and cons of electric motors and ICE engines. This sure looks like a Wait But Why cartoon to me. No, it's XKCD. That's what this is. It's an XKCD comic. Electric motors and gas engines each have their pros and cons. Wait for the trick. They're going to trick you. This comic artist is laying in wait to pounce with the punchline if you miss it. On one hand, electric motors are cleaner and more efficient. On the other hand, electric motors are more powerful. So, it's hard to say which is better overall. A very well-phrased joke there, I thought, from XKCD, so good work by Alex, bringing that more publicity on X. Here's one from Chansu Bayan. Haters can't see the facts when presented. Cybertruck will be the best-selling electric truck already this year and on. Yeah, Cybertruck is already outselling the Rivian R1T, I think, and it's gonna outsell the Ford F-150 Lightning before the end of the year. And what else is there to beat? Cybertruck's gonna be the #1 selling electric truck maybe in the world, right? Because pickups in general don't sell that well in China. They don't sell in Europe at all. I don't think there's much of a pickup market in Europe. In Australia, they call them utes, and they sell okay in Australia. They're enough like the US, culturally, geographically, whatever is important to make pickups sell pretty well. I think they sell okay in Australia. But yeah, the US is the number one market by far for the pickup body type. Here's one from David at Replayer. I love when people keep saying that FSD doesn't work. I guess it was my imagination that drove me all around town today with no disengagements. Very well said. I can't tell you where this account came from, but go check them out, see if that's an account you want to follow. That's a good tweet, and it got 26 likes, including one from me. What was he replying to? Let's scroll on up and see. Oh, it's me taking Autoline to task, saying, hey, Autoline, I just watched the last episode of Autoline After Hours. I watched this one live. I missed more than I see. I said it's the last episode of Autoline After Hours I'll ever sit through again. If drunk uncle Paul Eisenstein, Detroit-based auto expert, F-150 Lightning owner / Headlight.News contributor, is on the panel cluelessly spouting malarkey like, as the Cybertruck demonstrates, he's not going to listen to logic because he's Elon Musk and he gets what he wants. Elon wants to save the world. It's the people he doesn't give a blank about. Elon has the Silicon Valley disease. Elon's clearly moving away from EVs. He said all this stuff during this live podcast, I guess you would call it, the Autoline After Hours crew. The Justice Department here in the U.S. is starting to look very closely at potential criminal action for the way that they have hawked technology that doesn't work, and there's no sign it will ever work, full self-driving and autopilot. There's a couple of ways you can spell this word. I spelled it this way. You could put an AW here instead of an OC, and that would also work. About Tesla, it's one of the biggest purchasers of LiDAR from one of the biggest LiDAR companies. Elon hates LiDAR until he loves LiDAR. You may have noticed that Elon keeps creeping up here. That's because drunk uncle Paul Eisenstein never once called him Elon. The whole time he called him Elon. John and Sean McElroy tried to counter some of his garbage, but some viewers are going to leave misinformed, is what I was telling Autoline. Hey, do you want to get known as being a misinformation podcast? Because people are going to leave misinformed if you don't correct people who spout all of this garbage. This is nonstop codswallop from Paul Eisenstein that I had to call out, and I did give them the video credit with their tweet, which is how I found their live podcast here. It had Elon on it, so I figured, all right, I may as well sit through this one. Dylan Loomis replying, Elon. I said, did I misquote him? If you listen to the audio, that's what he was saying. He was saying Elon. They talk a lot like a Munkin. This was just one short clip from an hour-plus episode I watched all of. There were definitely other places where he sounded more like the fraud posing behind the fake name Brad Munkin, repeating decades-old rules of thumb about how often models need a refresh, etc. Yeah, there's these heuristics that get passed around as general knowledge in the auto industry between veteran auto industry workers, and they say, oh, well, you have to refresh your car every 4 years or every 3 years or whatever their dumb rule of thumb is. Even John McElroy was on board with that idea, saying, yeah, you have to put a new top hat on. Only Tesla fans can tell that the refreshed Model 3 is refreshed. That's how closely you have to be looking to know. All right, so if Honda refreshes the Accord, no matter how much uglier they make it, it's going to sell better? Is that what you're telling me? Just because it was refreshed, more people are going to buy it? All right. That's a dumb way to make business decisions. In my opinion, Elon Musk reasons from first principles, not by analogy, which is what this refresh every 3 years nonsense is, in my opinion. So that was that. That was where that came from. Here's one from Elon Musk retweeting Rothmus. In high school, I tried using anonymous sources instead of real citations, but this was not allowed because I was a ninth grader and not a journalist. Bam! That's a banger. That's a good tweet. From Seamus at Seamus_Coughlin. Never heard of that account before, but Elon appreciated the joke with a retweet. That's pretty much all you see. Well, you see replies too. So if Elon doesn't reply or retweet, you don't know that he approved at all anymore because likes are no longer public. And anybody could claim that Elon liked any post that they sent, and only they or Elon would know if it were true. Even if they supply a screenshot, the screenshot could be faked easily. Here's a tweet I liked from Bonnie Norman, who describes herself now as bonnienorman.bsky.social. Her X handle is still Bonnie Norman, as it has been for many years. This is not a verified account, because I guess Bonnie doesn't approve of verified accounts, would be my suspicion. This is an OG Tesla supporter from way back. Bonnie Norman, extremely helpful to folks back in 2016, 2017, 2018, who had problems with Tesla service and needed something fixed. Bonnie Norman was able to get in touch with the right people to fix those problems if they tweeted about them and got her attention. Here she is saying they also ignored the fact it wasn't only Tesla. What was? Let's scroll on up here. What else was I tweeting about? Oh, this is the return of the parking lot truthers. Yes, they're back taking photos of parking lots. Somebody replied, watching cool spies post pics of Teslas in parking lots is like watching flat earthers try to explain GPS. How does GPS work? If you're a flat earther, it must be hard to explain how GPS works. Comedy writer credit at 28 Delays Later. That's where I got cool spies from on July 30th, 2018, when Earl of Frunk Puppy had, the same 200 followers I had at that time. He sent out this post. People who film Tesla parking lots, creep around showrooms, and harass employees and customers are cool spies, losers/creepers, secret Tesla fans. These are great options for a poll. So this was an extremely popular poll at the time. It got 102 votes, 13 likes, two comments. Some hashtags here from Earl. Tesla polls at Polls Tesla, long-time Tesla hater, still out there hating, replied, short sellers is what you should call them. I said I voted cool spies. No idea how any of you feel otherwise. /S to let people know. Sarcasm. August 4th, 2018. Yeah, they aren't cool spies, but they definitely think of themselves as being cool spies when they're taking photos of the parking lot full of Teslas. They're back. Bonnie's comment was they also ignored the fact it wasn't only Tesla. So back in 2019, Bonnie was letting people know, Le Scandal, new cars filling 3 levels of Daly City parking garage, alert the parking lot truthers. Are these Teslas? No, they're Chevys. And Nissans. I mean, Nissan was in trouble at the time. Here's some Subarus. Yeah, funny stuff. I guess there weren't any Chevys there, were there? These were all Nissans and Subarus. But yeah, I had to reply, welcome back, Bonnie. Good to see you again. And she sent me some blue hearts. All right. So I like that tweet. Here's one from Dave Lee that I liked. Last week's Tesla shareholder meeting was huge. Tesla's opening a new book focused on FSD and Optimus. Exciting times ahead. Shareholders overwhelmingly backed Elon as CEO, approving his 2018 compensation plan by a landslide. They want him leading Tesla and creating value. This was a short video, like a 4-minute video from Dave Lee. He does a lot of long-form content, but this is not one of those. Shareholders recognize Tesla's future is in FSD and Optimus despite short-term headwinds. Long-term growth matters most. This vote reinvigorates Elon to be aggressive with growth plans, especially in AI and robotics. Expect details in Master Plan 4, which Elon recently said he's going to come out with soon. Reincorporating in Texas allows for a new compensation plan with super voting shares, potentially increasing Elon's voting power to 25% so he can confidently push forward. Okay, what's this mean? You could do a super clever thing if you wanted to compensate Elon with shares and not have him pay the US government tens of billions of dollars in taxes for it. What you could do is issue Elon Class E shares. I just made that up. There's a lot of companies out there that have multiple classes of shares. Normally they go Class A, Class B, Class C, whatever. Sometimes they're different than those. But you could skip straight to Class E. E is for Elon, not Elon, like Paul Eisenstein wants to pronounce it. You could say, hey, Elon, here's your new compensation deal. If you achieve these 10 aggressive milestones, we will let you purchase a Class E share for each of the 10 that you achieve. What's good about these Class E shares? Each of them has voting rights that are 10 million times what a share of Tesla would normally get, right? So if he got all 10 of those, it would be like he controlled 100 million shares of Tesla stock, which would be, let's see here, carry the blah, 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 that would be like rough numbers, 10% more of the company, something like that. Is that right? That's not right. That would only be like 3% more. So maybe you would have to set, I don't know, 30 of these goals. Or there's a bunch of different ways you could structure it and have it come out to the same result, right? The idea would be the price of these Class E shares would be whatever regular shares were selling for on the day that plan originated, right? So if the price of the stock were $200, Elon would be able to buy those 10 shares for $2,000. He has that money. He wouldn't need to sell any of those shares to be able to pay the taxes on them. He could just pay them, right? And he wouldn't have to sell any of them to pay his taxes because he wouldn't need the money. He would be able to raise the money to pay the taxes on 10 shares of Tesla stock. They would just have way more voting rights. I am not an expert in this field. I don't know if the way that I just outlined that would work, but I sure like it a lot better than him having to dump millions of shares of stock on the open market or, in a block trade to Morgan Stanley or however he would do it. In the past, he has dumped them on the open market during trading hours, which is not great because the stock is going to tank when you do that, right? You hit the market with millions of shares more than the usual amount traded, and you're going to eat up all of the bid way down the option chain or whatever you want to call it, right? So the price of the stock is going to drop a lot when you add a lot of selling pressure to the market that's unexpected and abnormal. And that has happened in the past. And this would be one way of avoiding that and giving Elon what he wants, which is more control over the company. And maybe it would convince him to have Tesla acquire XAI. And then he would be able to do all of his AI efforts under one roof, under the Tesla roof, and then Tesla shareholders would benefit from XAI. He replied to Dave saying the super strong support from retail and large investors meant a lot to me, with a couple of hearts here. I will do my utmost to ensure that their faith is rewarded. Always good to hear. So 11,000 people gave that tweet a like. Here's one from Brindle at Brindle Petite. I had been following Tesla-related content for years, but never drove the car until earlier this month. I convinced my wife we should rent one on vacation. My goodness, the experience was unreal. I didn't have access to FSD, but took minutes of video of the car driving itself on the freeway using autopilot. Returning to my ICE vehicle was kind of sad. Retweeting WholeMars catalog at WholeMarsBlog. Posting Tesla is the car of the future that you can buy today. Yeah, it's kind of future-proofed. Tesla makes the cars better all the time with free over-the-air software updates. The only kind of car you can buy that gets better over time. So, good post there. From another account that I had never really heard of before. Got a lot of likes. Here's one from Owen Sparks. Tesla robotaxis will likely transport athletes and attendees around LA for the 2028 Summer Olympics. 2028 is not all that far away. We think of robotaxi as being really far away, but it might not be all that far away. We're going to have an event on 8/8 of 2024. Even if it takes Tesla a couple of years to start making them, they might be ready for the 2028 Summer Olympics in LA, and they might look something like this artist rendering. We'll find out once Tesla shows it to us. They really don't want to Osborne the current product line by showing you something that you think is so much better it would make you cancel your plans to buy an SX3Y or Cybertruck or Semi. I don't think a Semi is a good substitute for a robotaxi, but they also may say, we're not selling robotaxi. We're going to run the fleet ourselves for a while. So nobody can buy this purpose-built robotaxi model. And that's how you get around Osborning it. Nobody's going to wait to buy it if you're telling them up front you can't buy it. Here's one from Tesla Economics. Tesla is making everyone that said Tesla is only for the rich a thing of the past using this information here, right? So on the screen, they're giving you the pricing. If you want to lease these vehicles, here's the leasing amounts. $299 a month for the Model 3 with an asterisk on it. So it may include some savings and the federal tax credit, or I don't know if you get the federal tax credit if you lease. Maybe you do? Let me know in the comments below if you know whether you get the federal tax credit if you just lease the vehicle for 3 years and then give it back. $449 for Model Y. If you want to finance the car for a purchase and then you would own it after 3 years or 5 years or whatever the financing term is. $653 a month for the Model 3, $712 a month for the Model Y, $1174 for Model S, $1258 looks like for Model X. These are the cash buyer prices here, and then after probable savings is the bottom line here, with Model Y looking great on the after probable savings line. $31,490. How do you get from $44,990 to $31,490? They're doing a lot better than Model 3 is. Maybe this one hadn't been updated for the $7,500 tax credit yet, and that explains it. Let me know if you understand the difference between those in the comments below. Here's another one from Elon. Exactly. A class action lawsuit by definition should represent the class, yet this one, meaning the compensation lawsuit, and most others do not, serving simply to enrich law firms at the expense of the people they falsely claim to represent. The law should be changed to require at least 10% of the members of the supposed class to vote in favor of a class action suit. If they can't even muster 10%, it is obviously bogus. Retweeting fellow Rebellionaire Lion Warren Redlick at WR4NYGov, who said the attorneys suing Elon and Tesla claim to be acting on behalf of stockholders of Tesla. The stockholders of Tesla have spoken twice, once in 2018, once in 2024, by a 73% margin both times, excluding the shares owned by Elon and Kimball. They recused themselves from the voting as being potential beneficiaries in the future. that they support the compensation package. They're not acting on behalf of the stockholders. The lawyers are acting solely for their own benefit to collect billions in fees that will be taken from the stockholders. They also imposed hundreds of millions in litigation costs on Tesla to shareholders' detriment. Class action lawsuits are a perversion of the American justice system. I can't think of a clearer example than this case. Tesla and Elon will be fine. It might take a year or two, but Tesla will redo the vote again in Texas if necessary. Elon will get his comp package. The company will grow and prosper. Delaware lawyers, accountants, and related businesses and state government revenue will all suffer massively as corporations flee a state that has demonstrated it does not support founders, corporations, boards, executives, or shareholders. How did it demonstrate that? By overturning their votes. By saying, we don't care what the board voted, and we don't care what the shareholders voted, and we don't care that the shareholders voted for the board members who voted in favor of things. We're going to overturn all of your votes. We don't care what you think. We don't care how you want to run your company. We, being Delaware judges, know better and are overturning the majority's opinion. Being the corporate home of so many companies was a huge part of the Delaware economy. The system is about to collapse. With a screenshot here of the Tornetta case, Tornetta being the dope shareholder who owned 9 shares, that the law firm Bernstein, Litowitz, Berger, and Grossman LLP used as their stooge to bring this class action lawsuit. All right. So back we go to find the next tweet that I liked from WholeMars. Yes, it is crazy that shareholders were harmed in the name of helping shareholders. Definitely. And shareholders will be harmed a lot more if the judge rules that there are damages in the billions or even in the millions to be given to this law firm. That's coming out of the company's funds. That's the company the shareholders own. It's our company. So it's crazy that in the name of shareholders, they're taking funding from shareholders. Here's one from Bill Gurley at B. Gurley. In a supposed effort to help entrepreneurial contract workers, gig workers, politicians who think they know better instead destroy their livelihood. The demand curve is taught in Econ 101. Politicians apparently haven't all taken Econ 101. They think they know better, but the top-down approach is a fatal conceit, said F.A. Hayek correctly. He didn't say it in those words, but that was his message. Hey, government, stay out of it. Every time you try to step into the economy and change stuff to make it better, you're actually making it worse. The free market works fine on its own. As the proof of the retweet, here's Peter Morgan saying in America, delivery drivers got higher wage rates. Now they're getting fewer orders and less money. Yeah, these delivery drivers make less income now because Congress raised their wage rate. What did that do? It made getting food delivered more expensive. So less people get food delivered now. That volume decline was more unfavorable to them than the rate favorability was. If you want to do the rate volume analysis on the impact of this decision, that's what it's telling you. Hey, you screwed up a good thing. Now the people you were trying to help are worse off. All right, what's the next tweet that I liked here? It comes from Christopher Lloyd at Doc Brown Lloyd. Hey, Elon Musk, with a photo of the Cybertruck with the DeLorean, the DMC-12 from the DeLorean Motor Company. This little one here. So there's the only 2 stainless steel exoskeleton vehicles ever constructed. I guess these are body panels and not an exoskeleton like this is, but it's stainless steel. DMC Ryan McCaffrey owned one of these for a long time. That's where his handle comes from the DeLorean Motor Company. That's how proud he was of his DeLorean before he had to sell it to buy a Model 3 Performance back in 2018 when those started Coming off the line from the tent, Fremont, GA4. Here's one from Matthew Donegan Ryan at Matthew DR. Tesla full self-driving is mind-blowing. Today it flawlessly drove me through a new construction zone, following a backhoe, driving on the opposite side of the road, following temporary signs held by flaggers, avoided potholes and debris, all without LiDAR. The LiDAR might not have helped in this situation. We've seen some instances of Waymo not seeing the new construction and falling into literal holes in the road where they expected that there would be pavement, because there had always been pavement before when their LiDAR high-definition maps were saved into their hard drive. So those things navigate by just figuring out, okay, am I in the same lane that the LiDAR mapping was done in the same position in space? I am? Okay, I'm good. I will follow this route then. Well, if there's construction and a giant hole in the ground, you will just fall right into it, and Waymos have done exactly that. Tesla retweeted Matthew DR saying end-to-end. Yeah, end-to-end neural nets, nothing but nets is what solves that. You let the car learn how to drive from people who know how to drive. You just let them watch millions of hours of people driving safely and say, do it like that. And let the machine learning figure it out with a giant neural net and a whole lot of training and recursive training and iteration. Here's one from James Douma, who knows a lot more about that topic than I do. Why release 12.4 when 12.5 is in the pipeline? Wouldn't it make more sense to just skip 12.4 and go straight to 12.5? He's not asking. He's giving you the question that he's about to answer. Wouldn't that be faster and less effort? And the retweet is here. Philip Lundgren at Tesla Love without the E in Tesla. Hey, James Douma, I've looked and looked but can't find the answer to your question. Or you can talk about it in a future video. This is the question. The too long didn't read version is no. 12.5 doesn't come faster if 12.4 is skipped. It probably comes slower. And 12.6 gets slower too. Why? Because periodic updates are a critical component of continued improvement. New features and improvements need to be validated, tested, gradually released, and then fine-tuned. Much of this work needs to happen in a fleet at scale in the real world. There's no substitute for this fleet testing, and much of it needs to happen in the context of the best currently distributable platform, so that the unreleased improvements can be properly evaluated. Yes, that's it. Ding, 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 ding. This is your key phrase here. Why roll out 12.4 if they already have a 12.5 that they're working on? Because 12.5 is not a currently distributable platform. They're still testing it to make sure it's safe to roll out to the fleet. Is 12.4 a currently distributable platform? Yes, it is. It's the most recent version that they could send out to the fleet, and that's why they are doing that. So you test new 12.4 features in the 12.3 context because that's the best framework. Similarly, with 12.5 features being tested in shadow mode in 12.4 vehicles, and so forth. As the system gets better, the amount of effort that needs to go into validation increases because it takes more driving per failure. In earlier AP, we saw releases a few weeks after they were first built. Now it's taking 3 to 6 months between the initial build and having enough testing. The bar is getting higher. It needs more compute and a bigger fleet to test. So Tesla builds more compute and tests on an ever-growing fleet, but the time needed still grows. This growing gap between start and release has led Tesla to a pipeline development process where there might be 3 different major versions in development at once, in different stages. Each one moves through the pipeline from initial design to wide release, and then to retirement as the next one goes wide. 12.3 is still being refined, 12.4 is an early public release, 12.5 might be entering regression testing in the data center before it gets released to insider testing. Early versions of 12.6 probably already exist. This staged process accelerates the overall progression of the program by parallelizing development. 12.6 isn't the endgame. FSD won't ever be done. When unsupervised ships, it'll be 3x or 5x better than human drivers on average, but there will be some situations where humans beat it. It will continue to improve until no human is ever better. After that, there will be work going into making it more comfortable, less expensive, more flexible, etc. Yeah, this is a long way off, I think. It feels like. Now, maybe they have so much compute coming that they'll be able to train to a better than Randy Pobst level, but I doubt it. I think Randy Pobst is going to be a better driver than FSD for a while. But beyond improving the product, user safety and satisfaction are super important. Who's Randy Pobst? I hear you asking. If you go to Laguna Seca Raceway or Buttonwillow or name your racetrack in the U.S. where hot lap record times are set, you'll find Randy Pobst's name more often than anybody else's. He can get around a track in a great big hurry. He's one of the most famous living race car drivers, and he drives a lot of Teslas. He goes to Pikes Peak. If you've been watching this series for a while, you know he's had some tough luck at Pikes Peak a few years running, trying to get a Model S Plaid up the mountain with some bad weather, unfortunate icing on that road surface, as well as fog one year, fogging over his windshield. That's tough, and it's a tough problem for FSD as well, right? It won't have to be putting down faster hot lap times than Randy Pobst for a while, probably. But beyond improving the product, user safety and satisfaction are super important. Releasing periodic updates provides current users with safer, more comfortable, more convenient experiences, and encourages more people to use FSD and AP autopilot, which multiplies its beneficial impact. This is really important benefit to FSD's users. As soon as you have something that will help save lives, avoid property damage, or just make life easier, you want to release it even if it isn't unsupervised FSD yet. Yeah, 2 drivers are better than 1 for the time being, and that's what a Tesla is with FSD when it's engaged and being supervised by a good human driver. Here's one from Nic Cruz Patane. The craziness never ends, LOL, with this video of somebody's color-changing rap. Check it out. So you can see purple, you can see green, you can see blue, all those colors come and go as this Cybertruck shifts through different angles of reflection of sunlight. So pretty amazing. And the wheels are nice too. They did the same color change on the wheels that they did on the body. Here's another one from Elon Docs at Elon_DOCS. Elon Musk on X as a news platform. We want to judge journalism on the quality of the content, not the publication behind it. This is a very short clip, so I'll just play it for you and you can hear Elon say it.
And good. We really want to judge journalism. We want to judge stories based on the quality of the content, not the publication that is behind it. And there are some incredibly good individuals who maybe couldn't get a job at a major newspaper, but actually they're great writers and they're incredibly truthful and good. We really want to judge journalism. We want to judge.
Yeah, so I imagine Elon talking about Jonna Kreider when he's thinking about somebody who may not have gotten hired by the Wall Street Journal to be a columnist for them, but writes well, puts out good stories that are true and not clickbait. You don't get clickbait when you read a Jonna Kreider article. Elon's been following her for a lot longer than he's been following me, and interacted with her in person a few times and really helped her out at times when there are hurricanes in Louisiana, donating to charities that she makes him aware of, etc. Here's one from Cyber Mike that I liked at Cyber Mike OG. As of April 2024, Michelin has been in talks with Tesla about testing its airless tire technology called Uptis, unique puncture-proof tire system, which doesn't quite match the acronym, but I guess you have to use the I in tire to make that happen. Designed to eliminate the risk of flat tires and blowouts in passenger vehicles, which could be a good fit for Tesla's future cybertaxi. Michelin also claims Uptis tires could last 3 times longer than standard tires. So this is reinventing the tire. You don't have to ever put air in this tire. It's just shaped like this. So you go over bumps and the tire still cushions you the same as it would if it were inflated with air, but instead of being inflated, they've got this fun design here that has some resilience to it, but also a lot of durability. So that's a great design, something that should have been invented a long time ago. It probably has more rubber in it than a regular tire does, which makes it questionably better for the environment, but there's been run flat tires around for a long time, so this is maybe just another improvement on run flat tires is the way to think about it. And yay, if they last longer, that'll be a great tire for a robotaxi. And that was the last tweet that I liked this week. So with that, I will check back in with Loki in the Loki's Bedcam to see that he hasn't really moved around very much. There he is. There's that little Loki Chihuahua face. And I will thank you for subscribing to me. You must be a subscriber, and you must like my content if you made it this far into this video. So go ahead and give the video a like now, so other folks who subscribe to me will be able to find this video and like it. I guess they're not going to find it if it's not public. So do as you like. And special shout out as always to my 2 executive producers, Kathy Kitchler and Rebellionaire.com, and I'll see you in the next one.